You ever stop and think about something that just doesn't quite make sense? Take Germany. They build some of the world's most famous cars. So why on earth would they also import millions of cars from other countries? It seems to break the most basic rules of trade, but believe me, it's happening all the time.
Or how about this one? South Korea is a powerhouse, exporting smartphones all over the globe. And yet, they also import millions of phones. It feels totally backwards, right? Well, this strange pattern is actually at the very heart of modern global commerce. And today, we're going to get to the bottom of it.
So here's our game plan for solving this puzzle. We'll start by defining what's going on. Then we'll see how it's measured and, interestingly, why that measurement isn't always perfect. We'll break down the different types of this trade, look at a real-world case study with India, and finally wrap it all up with why this matters to you, followed by a quick quiz. Okay, let's dive right in. This whole idea of trading cars for cars or phones for phones, well, it has a name, and it explains a massive chunk of international trade as we know it today. It's called Intra Industry trade, or IIT for short. This isn't your classic one country trades wine for another country's computer scenario, no. This is all about two countries trading goods from the exact same industry, like Germany and Japan selling cars back and forth to each other.
So if this is happening everywhere, how do economists actually put a number on it? Well, they use this really clever tool called the Grubel-Lloyd Index to figure out just how much of this two-way street exists.
And here it is, the Grubel-Lloyd Index, the gold standard for measuring IIT. Now, don't get hung up on the math. The core idea is actually pretty simple. The top part there, that's just measuring the imbalance of trade, the difference between exports and imports. And the bottom part, that's just the total trade, exports plus imports. So the formula is basically just asking, what slice of the total trade pie is perfectly balanced, two-way trade?
What you get is a really simple score, somewhere between 0 and 1. If you get a 0, it means all the trade is one-way traffic. A country is either selling that product or buying it, but not both. But if you get a score of 1, that's perfect harmony. For every dollar of that product they export, they import a dollar's worth too.
But you know how it is with these models? It wasn't long before people realized the original Grubel-Lloyd Index had a few blind spots. It wasn't telling the whole story.
There were two main issues. First, if a country had a big trade deficit overall, it could mess up the numbers and make it seem like there was less intra-industry trade than there really was. And second, the formula treated all cars the same. A luxury sports car and a budget family sedan were just cars. And that misses a huge piece of the puzzle.
So to fix that first problem, a corrected formula was developed. You don't need to memorize it, just know that the formula on the right, the GLC, has a little tweak that accounts for a country's total trade balance. This gives us a much more accurate picture of what's really going on. And here's proof that the correction really matters. Take a look at this chart of India's trade. The corrected value, that blue line, is always higher than the original red line. What that tells us is that for years, the true level of India's intra-industry trade was actually being underestimated. Pretty significant, right? Now let's talk about that second problem, the fact that not all similar products are created equal. This brings us to a really important distinction in how we look at this kind of trade. You can actually split IIT into two flavors. First, there's horizontal IIT, or HIIT. That's when countries are trading products of similar quality and price. Think one mid-range sedan for another. Then you have vertical IIT, or VIIT. This is when they're trading goods in the same category, but at totally different quality levels, like Germany exporting a high-end luxury car and importing a low-cost economy car. Okay, that's enough theory for a minute. Let's make all this concrete by digging into some real-world data from a case study on India's trade patterns.
Now, this is really interesting. Check this out. India's intra-industry trade with a developed country like Germany is almost double its IIT with Bangladesh. This points to a really key idea. This kind of trade is way more intense between developed nations, mostly because their consumers want more variety, and their industries are super specialized. And just to hammer that point home, look at this number. On a scale where 100 would be perfect two-way trade, India's average index with Hong Kong was nearly 58. That is a huge number. It shows an incredibly deep, integrated relationship where they're constantly swapping similar goods. So, okay, we've defined it, we've measured it, we've even corrected the measurement and looked at a case study, but so what? What's the big picture here? Why should any of us care about this stuff?
Oh, it matters a ton. For you and me, it means choice. It means you can buy a Japanese car, a German car, or an American car. For companies, it's all about efficiency. A company can specialize in making the best engines in the world, achieve huge economies of scale, and bring down costs for everybody. This is literally the engine that powers our global supply chains, for everything from our phones to our cars, and maybe most importantly, unlike the old trade theories that had clear winners and losers, this model creates a system where everybody can come out ahead.
All right, that was a lot of information, I know. So let's see what's stuck. Time for a quick 2-question quiz. You ready? Question 1. If the Grubel-Lloyd index for a product is 0, a big fat 0, what does that mean? Is it A, perfect balance, B, one-way trade, or C, a trade deficit? And the correct answer is B. A score of 0 means there is no intra-industry trade happening at all. All the commerce for that product is strictly one-way traffic. Okay, last one for you. Let's say the UK exports high-end sports cars to Italy and at the same time imports Italian family cars. What type of trade is that? Is it A, horizontal IIT, B, vertical IIT, or C, inter-industry trade? The answer is B, vertical intra-industry trade. They're both cars, right? So that's the intra-industry part. But one's a luxury sports car and the other is a practical family car. They're differentiated by quality and price. That up and down difference is what makes it vertical. And here's a final thought I want to leave you with. Now that you know what intra-industry trade is, start looking for it. I promise you, you'll see it everywhere, from fashion to food to electronics. You'll realize that this strange little paradox of trading cars for cars is actually what makes the modern global economy tick.